Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're not just looking at a book. We are, in a way, hacking the operating system for success.
And this system was designed by some of the wealthiest minds of the 20th century. Our source is Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, which first came out way back in 1937.
Right, and it's so important to understand this isn't just Hill's opinion. This is the result of 20 years of research.
He was personally tasked by Andrew Carnegie to go out and interview 500 of the most successful people on the planet. We're talking titans like Henry Ford, Rockefeller, Thomas Edison.
So our mission today is pretty simple. We want to distill his 13 core principles into an actionable shortcut for you.
Yeah, we're going to skip a lot of the historical fluff and get straight to the mental and physical steps, the stories that really make these ideas stick.
And what I find so interesting is that the title is Think and Grow Rich, but it's not just about money.
Not at all. The principles are all about mental preparation. It's about belief before you even start the physical work. So this applies to any big goal, whether it's a career change, starting a business, anything.
Okay, let's break it down. We'll follow Hill's structure, starting with that deep internal work, the intent, then moving into actual planning, and finally, connection.
Exactly. So let's start with the absolute non-negotiable foundation. Principle number 1.
Which is desire. And it sounds almost, too basic, right?
It does, but Hill's point is that success starts with a definite purpose, a goal that's so clear and strong it becomes an obsession.
It drives you. And the perfect story for this has to be Edwin Barnes.
Oh yeah, Barnes is the prototype.
Yeah.
He had extreme clarity. He didn't just want a job with Thomas Edison.
Yo.
He didn't want some money. He wanted one very specific thing, to be Thomas Edison's partner.
And that desire was so powerful. I mean, he didn't even have the train fare to get there.
He just hopped on a cargo train, a free ride, showed up looking like a mess, but Edison said he could just see this fire in his eyes.
Yeah.
This definite purpose.
Oh, so he takes this really low-paying, unimportant job.
Just to be in the building. And he waits there, patiently, for 5 years.
5 years, that's incredible.
And his chance finally came with the Edison dictating machine, which, the regular salesman thought was a joke, they wouldn't touch it.
But Barnes saw the opportunity. He convinced Edison to let him sell it, and he crushed it, sold it nationwide.
And he became Edison's partner, a millionaire. It wasn't luck. It was the direct result of that crystal clear goal he had from day one.
So for you listening, how do you make a desire that definite? Hill gives you 6 very specific steps.
Yes, a formula to turn that vague feeling of wanting more into something tangible.
The first 3 are all about definition. Number 1, decide the exact amount of money. No estimates.
To the penny. Then 2, decide exactly what you'll give in return. Your service, your product, your time.
And 3, set a hard deadline, a specific date.
Then the last 3 steps are about implementation. 4, make a rough plan right now, immediately, even if it's not perfect.
Don't wait. And 5, write it all down, all of it.
And number 6, this is the most critical part, mentally. Read that statement aloud every morning and every night. And as you read it, you have to picture it as if it's already yours.
You have to feel it.
You have to feel it. And that feeling is the bridge from desire to the next principle.
Which is principle 2, faith.
And this isn't just wishful thinking. Hill describes it as an absolute, unwavering belief that you will achieve your desire.
And he uses maybe the most powerful personal story in the whole book to explain this. It's about his own son.
It's an incredible story. His son was born without any physical ears. Doctors said he'd be deaf and mute his entire life.
But Hill just refused to accept that. He decided he would plant this unwavering belief in his son's mind, even though reality, the physical evidence, said otherwise.
And the breakthrough came when he found out his son could hear him, but only if Hill's lips were touching the bone right behind where the ears should have been.
So knowing he could get through, he started telling him these bedtime stories every single night for years.
And the core message of these stories was always the same, that his condition wasn't a handicap, it was going to be his greatest asset someday.
He had no idea how, but he just kept planting that seed.
And the result is just mind-blowing. At 18, his son gets one of these new hearing aid devices. Hears clearly for the first time.
What's the first thing he does?
He writes a letter to the manufacturer. He shares his story and includes a 2-year marketing plan. They hired him on the spot.
And he went on to help thousands of deaf people, literally turning his disability into his greatest asset, just like his father had told him for years.
But here's the twist, the really profound part. Years later, X-rays confirmed there was no physical connection. Medically, he shouldn't have been able to hear a thing.
Wow. So it was desire, backed by faith, that made it possible.
Which brings us right to principle 3. Autosuggestion. This is the how. It's the mechanism Hill used to plant that faith.
Right. It's basically telling your mind what to believe over and over until your subconscious just accepts it as truth.
The key thing to get is that your subconscious doesn't argue. It doesn't analyze the facts. It just listens to the instructions you feed it.
It's like a garden, right? If you don't actively plant positive ideas.
The weeds will grow automatically. Negative thoughts. So
Oh.
you have to saturate your mind with your purpose.
And you have to do it with emotion. It's not just reading the words. You have to feel the success.
Exactly. And when you do that, the plan, it starts to show up. It comes in these sudden flashes of inspiration that you have to act on immediately.
Okay, so that moves us out of pure belief and into part 2, practical application.
Starting with tools you need. Principle 4 is specialized knowledge.
Hill is very clear on this. Real wealth doesn't come from general knowledge like what you get in school. It comes from the specific, specialized knowledge you need for your goal.
And the poster child for this is Henry Ford.
Of course. He famously never even finished school. And during a trial, a newspaper called him ignorant and the lawyers trying to prove it.
Yeah, they started asking him all these random trivia questions. Who's Benedict Arnold? How many soldiers were in the British Army in 1776? Stuff like that.
And Ford just gets fed up, and he gives this legendary response.
He says, look, I have a row of push buttons on my desk. I can press a button and summon an expert who can give me any knowledge I need for my business.
Why should I clutter up my mind with general knowledge when I have men around me who can supply any knowledge I require?
That's it. It's the ultimate definition of specialization. He focused only on what he needed to know about cars and manufacturing, and he hired out the rest.
So the lesson isn't to be ignorant. It's to be efficient with your mental energy.
Precisely. Focus deeply on what moves your goal forward. Okay, that leads to principle 5, imagination.
The workshop of the mind. Everything we see around us, every company, every product, started as an idea in someone's head.
Imagination is seeing it in your mind before it exists in reality. You have to picture the success vividly. See the customers. See the bank statement.
And when you do that, your brain starts to notice opportunities that align with that vision.
But an idea without a plan is just a dream, which is principle 6, organized planning.
Desire is the spark, but without a plan, nothing happens. The story of Dr. Frank Gonzalez really proves this.
Yeah, this guy was an educator who wanted to build $1 million college. He had this desire, but that was it. No money, no land, no connections.
And for 2 years, absolutely nothing happened. He had faith, but no action.
So he forced the action. He set an impossible deadline. He needed the $1 million in 1 week.
That urgency created the plan. He called the newspapers and announced he was giving a lecture.
The title was, What I Would Do If I Had $1 Million.
And he gave that speech with so much passion, so much detail, as if he already had the money.
And right after, a man came up to him, totally captivated by the vision, and gave him the $1 million. The college was built.
And what happens if your plan fails?
Hill says that's not failure. It's just temporary defeat. It's a signal to create a new plan and keep going.
Which is a perfect lead-in to part 3, internal strength, starting with principle 7, decision.
And Hill draws a very sharp line here. He says, rich people make decisions quickly and they change them slowly. Poor people do the exact opposite.
They decide slowly, and then they change their minds at the first sign of pressure.
And the case study is Ford again, with the Model T. It launched in 1908. It was cheap, basic, and it dominated the market for over a decade.
But then competitors like Chevrolet started making more stylish, colorful cars.
And all of Ford's advisors were screaming at him, you have to change, you have to adapt. But Ford stuck with his decision for years.
And he sold over 15 million of them. The lesson is having the character to commit to a decision and ignore the outside noise.
Which takes a lot of self-assurance. And that fuels the next one, principle 8, persistence.
Hill says this is the hardest one for most people. It's the main reason they fail.
And the story he uses for this is just brutal. It's the one about Darby and the gold mine.
Oh, this one hurts. So Darby and his uncle find signs of gold. They buy all the machinery. They start drilling.
And at first, it's a success. But then the gold vein just stops. It disappears. They keep digging and find nothing.
So they quit. They sell all their expensive machinery to a local junk man for just a few $100s.
The junk man is smart. He hires a mining engineer to come take a look before he scraps everything.
And the engineer discovers that the gold vein hadn't really disappeared. There was a fault line. and the vein picked up again just 3 feet from where Darby had stopped digging.
3 feet. The junk man became a millionaire.
That lesson was burned into Darby's brain. He later became an insurance salesman, and he said, I stopped 3 feet from gold, but I will never again stop just because people say no.
And he became one of the top salesmen in the country. It's all about redefining what a no or a failure really means.
That kind of persistence requires a ton of energy. Which brings us to a really interesting one, Principle 10, sex transmutation.
Okay, we need to be clear what Hill meant here because the language is a bit dated.
Definitely. He's not talking about the physical act. He's talking about channeling your most powerful creative energy, your passion, what he called personal magnetism.
He saw sexual energy as the most powerful motivator. The idea is to channel that intense desire away from purely physical expression and into your work.
Especially work that requires creativity and focus. He said it lifts the mind to a higher plane of thought.
It's like a flow state. Think of a plane taking off. On the ground, all you see are the problems right in front of you. But once you get to that higher altitude, you see the big picture. That's where the best ideas come from.
And that focused energy needs the right environment. So Principle 9, the mastermind.
This is one of the most actionable principles. It's the network effect. You have to surround yourself with smart, successful, like-minded people.
Ford did this. He was poor and uneducated, but he intentionally befriended Thomas Edison, Harvey Firestone, these brilliant innovators.
Hill's theory is that you literally absorb the thinking of the people you spend time with. And when a group unites with a common purpose, the combined energy just accelerates everyone's growth.
And if you don't have people like that around you physically,
Then find them online, follow 2 or 3 high achievers, watch their lectures, read their books, absorb their mindset. The principle is the same.
Okay, so that brings us to the final principles, which are about connecting to something bigger. Principle 11 is the subconscious mind.
Right. We talked about feeding it with autosuggestion. Now it's about understanding that the subconscious is the system that connects you to what Hill calls infinite intelligence.
So input control is everything. You have to constantly feed it positive emotions.
He lists 7 of them: desire, faith, love, sex energy, enthusiasm, romance, and hope.
And you have to starve the 7 negative emotions: fear, jealousy, hatred, revenge, greed, superstition, and anger.
He makes a great point that when people are in trouble, they pray, but their prayers are filled with fear and doubt. They're sending the wrong signal.
So the subconscious is the software. Principle 12, the brain, is the hardware. Hill saw it as a broadcasting and receiving station.
It's a great analogy. If you keep changing your goal every week, it's like constantly spinning the radio dial. You never stay on one frequency long enough to hear the song.
But if you stick with one clear goal, you're tuned in.
And the positive emotions, that's you turning up the volume. The ideas and hunches come through loud and clear.
Which is the perfect setup for the final principle, the pinnacle of the whole system. Principle 13, the sixth sense.
This is what happens when you've mastered all the others. It's pure intuition, trusting your gut, those sudden flashes of knowing exactly what to do.
Hill tells a story about a financier who would just close his eyes for a couple of minutes before any big decision.
And just wait. He was waiting for that inspiration to arrive. That intuition only comes when the mind is calm and quiet.
But it's not a starting point. Hill is very clear that the sixth sense only becomes reliable after you've put in the work on the other 12 principles. It's the culmination of everything.
Okay, so that's the whole architecture. Let's do a quick flyby of all 13.
All right. 1, desire. 2, faith. 3, autosuggestion. 4, specialized knowledge.
5, imagination. 6, organized planning. 7, decision. 8, persistence.
9, the mastermind. 10, sex transmutation. 11, the subconscious mind. 12, the brain.
And 13, the sixth sense.
The key is that they all work together. Desire without a plan is useless. A plan without persistence goes nowhere.
Exactly. They're all interconnected.
So after all that, what's the final thought for you, the listener, to take away from this?
Well, Hill really emphasized that persistence was the hardest principle. And he used that story of Darby stopping just 3 feet from gold. It suggests the real secret isn't just having a great idea or a perfect plan. It's about how you define failure.
So if failure is just a signal to adjust your plan, as Principle 6 says, and not a stop sign,
Then the question you should ask yourself is this: how often are you confusing a temporary defeat with a final ending? Think about where in your own life, your career, your business, you might be just 3 feet from gold right now.